Hello dear learners, let us continue John Keats' Ode to a Psyche. In the first video I had completed the first stanza. Now begin with the second stanza. Now let's look at the second stanza. What does the actually poet talk about the second stanza? See this. O latest born and loveliest vision far of all Olympus' fated hierarchy. First, I would like to explain you the meaning of faded. Faded means something that has lost its potential and value. Hierarchy means order. O-R-D-E-R. Order of the you can say God or goddesses. G-O-D-D-E-S-S-E-S, goddesses. So here is talking about that order of gods and goddesses. Olympian. See, Olympus, try to understand. Olympus is the highest mountain of Greece. And here one thing is also very important for you to know, that Olympus, the highest mountain of Greece, was supposed to be the abode of all the Olympian gods like Zeus, like Cupid, like Cupid's mother, just a Venus, Aphrodite, her just other name. So this place here, Olympus, is referred in the sense of the house, of those Olympian gods. And she was, you can say that, she was probably the last goddess of that lineage or of that line of Olympian gods and goddesses. And she was bestowed the stature of the god only on the request of Cupid. Cupid had made a personal request to his own father, that is, you can say Zeus, to make this woman, earthly woman, goddess, so that he could marry her, and after that they married and lived their own lives. So that's why John Keats says that she was the last goddess. But bear in mind, that goddess was absolutely different in comparison with this goddess. Actually, this goddess is the goddess of the imagination of John Keats. And somewhere down the line we can say that she is the goddess of John Keats. Means maybe she is Fanny Brown. Maybe he is glorifying or celebrating the beauty and his relation with that very particular god, with that very particular woman, that is Fanny Brown. Why? Because here he is Fanny Brown's Eros, Fanny Brown's Cupid. See what he says. He says, of the latest and loveliest, two contradictory words are placed here side by side. Latest and loveliest, a very good example of oxymoron. See this. Fairer than Phoebe. Phoebe, remember my dear students, Phoebe was the goddess of moon, and she existed before the arrival of the Olympians. She was a Titan goddess. Or Vespa, he says, or Vespa. Vespa is another name of Aphrodite. Aphrodite has another name, just you see this Venus. Alright, Aphrodite, Venus are same. Why? Because Aphrodite, Greek according to Greek mythology, and Venus according to Roman mythology. goddess of love, goddess of beauty, but he says that neither Aphrodite nor Phoebe stood anywhere in comparison with the beauty of his own goddess. That is the goddess of his own imagination, and probably she is none other than none other than Fanny Brown. See the next line of the poem. Amorous glowworm of the sky. Here he has reduced. See, in the third line of the poem, here John Keats has reduced the significance or the value or the potential or that status, that divine status of Venus to a glowworm. Why? Because maybe he had in his own mind that you see that planning and scheming of Venus. Why? Because when Venus saw this earthly creature, goddess, that is Psyche, she felt strongly jealous of her beauty. She felt so strong jealousy for her extraordinary beauty that she sent her son Cupid, young god of love, to punish this lady, to punish this woman by making her fall in love with a young man far below her dignity and far below her beauty. So see, that's why here he is also reduced. He has reduced the beauty and the position and status of Venus to a glowworm. Now he calls her a glowworm, and he says that neither Phoebe nor Vesper, means Venus, stands anywhere in comparison with the outstanding beauty of this goddess. That is Psyche. See the next line of the poem. Fairer than these, though temple thou hast none. So he said, no matter, though this goddess was dedicated, no temple in her lifetime, no temple was built particularly for this goddess, and so there was no altar particularly for this goddess. And since there was no temple, no altar, then no question arises that she would have a virgin. She would have a virgin as her own singers. She would have her own, just a band of singers, particularly to make songs and sing songs in her own praise. And that's why she would have no prophet or of her own to dream and sing and worship this goddess. And that's why, since no temple was, no just a musical instrument was being played or would be played in the honor of this very particular goddess, so there would be no burning of incense in a certain particularly pot in the temple. He says, see, upon the midnight, he says, so nor virgin choir to make more beautiful songs upon the midnight, to be sung in the midnight. No voice, no lute musical instrument, pipe again musical instruments, no incense sweet from chain swung censer. Censer is a kind of a pot, particularly used to burn something, particularly to burn, you see this, burn just something that is full of fragrance, particularly in the temples. No shrine again, temple, grove is a kind of a garden, oracle, no heat or pale mouth prophet, you can say that you are worshipping. a worshipper. So he says that since this goddess did not get, since this goddess did not actually get what? She did not get the stature of the goddess in her lifetime. And that's why no temple was built for her, no just altar was for her, no just a virgin group of singers were, no particularly lute or no musical instrument was played in her honor, in her respect. And so she had no worshipper of her own to worship her and to make so many other worshippers of her own. But this goddess does not need to feel sorry. He says, why? Because here John Keats has come forward particularly to do everything possible for this goddess. Why? Because because this goddess has become his own goddess. He is going to do everything particularly for this goddess. He is going to make up for everything. He is going to build a temple for her in his own brain. He is going to become her eros. He is going to become her worshipper. He is going to become everything for this goddess. Thank you, my dear learners. That's it in this video.